Hi, my name is Daniela and I run a home business called Daniela Casa Cucina. I used to own a cafe around the corner from my house in which I used to bake all of the cakes and biscuits myself, and I used to be in charge of the menu. And once I sold that business last year, I had so many requests from customers asking me to teach them how to cook and how to bake that I thought it would be a great idea to start a home business. So that's what I'm doing now. And as of recently, they're also able to purchase my cakes through my website, and they're always made to order, of course. So today I thought I'd start a segment where I would teach some of the things that I'm actually teaching in my classes. And one of these things is how to make a lovely light sponge. Now this is a really like a rule art, the one I'll be teaching you today. And it's what I use in my tiramisu instead of using savoiardi biscuits, because it's much nicer and it's a lot lighter and less sweet. This can also be made into a roule art, but as of today I'll just be showing you how to do this for the tiramisu purposes. So I start off with 3 eggs. Now make sure you have eggs at room temperature, buy the best quality that you can. I'm using free range eggs today. So 3 eggs, I'm going to add half a cup of castor sugar to these. And I'm going to add some good quality, probably a teaspoon of very good quality vanilla extract. And I'm going to beat this up for at least 3 to 5 minutes until it's very, very light and airy. Okay, so I think this is mixed in quite enough. You can see it's very, very light in colour. It's very, very, very creamy, as you can see, and that's perfect. And now I have to add the flour. So in here I have 2 ounces of plain flour and 2 ounces of corn flour with 2 teaspoons of baking powder that I've mixed together. And I'm going to sieve this in to my mixture, so very lightly on top. Just try to mix it around a little bit to the edges so that it's evenly distributed. And now the trick is to fold this flour in and trying to make sure that you don't get any lumps of flour in your mixture. So you have to keep folding until you don't see any more of those lumps. Okay, now it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. You have to be very light-handed when you fold in this flour. You don't want to deflate this lovely mixture that you've just made with the eggs and the sugar. So as you can see, you just use a folding action. And make sure you get to the bottom of the bowl, because I find that's where all the flour tends to accumulate. So get to the bottom, every angle covered, and hopefully you will end up with a lovely mixture that has no lumps of flour in it. Now occasionally you might get a lump or 2, but I'll show you a trick in a second as to how you can hopefully eliminate any problems due to that happening. Alright, so that's pretty much incorporated. Now I'm going to mix in, I've put 2 teaspoons of butter into 2 tablespoons of boiling water, and that's melted nicely. I'm going to add that now. And again, so this will make sure now for sure that I don't have any of those lumps of flour, and it gives a little bit more liquid added into this mixture so that it's a bit easier to mix, a little bit less thick. Alright, so that looks like it's all mixed in properly. Now I have a baking tray here that I've sprayed with canola oil and lined with baking paper. This one is a 23 by 33 centimetre tin. And I'm going to gently pour this into this tin. Again, checking for any little lumps of flour that might have gotten away. So I'm sort of pouring it in so that I can see if there's anything that I haven't mixed in properly. Because that really is one of the main challenges with making any sponge. Okay, so that looks pretty good. spread this into the tin, just like this. Now there's a little trick. What happens, because there is so much air in this mixture, there's a lot of little air bubbles. So in order to get those out, you just get a tea towel and you kind of bash this down a little bit. And also helps you to see whether there are any lumps of flour that you may have missed. This one looks pretty good. Now I'm going to bake this for 10 to 12 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius in a fan forced oven. Okay, so here I have a sponge straight out of the oven, and what you look for when you're making these sponges is that it springs back when you press on it with your finger. So maybe test it after 10 minutes or have a look through the oven door to see whether it's actually risen and everything. And if it springs back, obviously that's what a sponge is supposed to do, nice and airy. And you can see, if I look at it in there, you can see how lovely and light and airy this sponge is. And that's a perfect sponge. So enjoy, see how easy that is to make. So it's so much easier than using savoiardi, and it's actually, it tastes fantastic. You won't go back.